Sure. All right, so tonight we are broadcasting from Facebook, Halo, and we're live on Clubhouse. So, what we're talking about tonight is tapping into your powers to manifest. We're just going live here, just putting it out there for those of y'all who want to come in and join us. Y'all see my t-shirt? This is a UNA t-shirt. Y'all see that UNA logo on the back. So what this is 5G to 5D, we stay winning. This is our 5G t-shirts to 5D t-shirts. So anyway, you all, if you're interested in one, let us know. Now, we're dealing with tonight tapping into your powers to manifest. And so, Chris, you had a question about how to be consistent with respect to tapping into those powers. Is that correct? Is that pretty much the question there? How to be consistent when you're wanting to tap into your powers? Chris, you with us? I just want to make sure I got the question right before I go and start answering. So I'm going to answer that question. When we're talking about being consistent, one of the main things about tapping into your manifesting powers is to make sure you have gratitude. And that is so important because we tend to get bogged down in the things that we see and we forget to be grateful for the things that we have. We're so busy complaining or being unhappy about the things that we have or that are going on that we don't take the time to show love to the universe for all the good things that are going on. So one of the things we do whenever we are waking up, we're wanting to make sure we find at least five things to be grateful for. Again, we get into, oh, my arm hurts, my leg hurts, my back hurts. We want to get into finding a way to show gratitude. You got to think about the universe as though the universe is a person or a being. And the reason why you want to get into the habit of that is because you got to figure or think, how would you feel if you gave so much love to someone and you were never shown gratitude? Well, the same way you would feel in that instance, you got to think that the universe would feel some kind of way too when you're not showing gratitude. And you have to remember that the cells in your vessel are the true universe. The cells in your vessel are the true universe. So you want to make sure that you're showing gratitude to your cells. Like, oh, this is a beautiful day, a beautiful morning. I'm grateful for whatever it is. Before you have the thought in your mind to complain about something, oh, well, I'm laughing because I had this guy once. He says to me, I said, how you doing? He said, oh, I can't complain. And then he went into complaining immediately. And it was like, well, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? So I understand we want to put forth that effort to make sure we don't complain, but then make sure you show gratitude, because when you do that, your universe is going to respond to you. All right? Chris, I hope that answered your question.
Yes.
Princess, were you about to say something?
No, I was tapping the mic.
Okay. All right. So now I want to say hello to everyone. Justice. Thank you for joining us today. We're just going live. We're talking about tapping into your manifesting powers. All right. Now, now we're doing this as an impromptu. We're running this on Clubhouse, and we're just taking some time to put some information out as we prepare for our spring season that's coming up with the UNA University. Chris, I'm going to let you ask questions since this was one of the sessions that you brought up and you want to bring in. So let's ask some questions about, what's going on and see if we can draw some dialogue on that. Chris. All right. So, Princess, I'm going to let you ask me some questions. Jason, if you all have anything you want to add.
Well, tapping into your power to manifest. I remember my first introduction to it was through sexual. I think we had a good laugh about that, you and I, speaking about manifesting before, and a young lady came in and said, or that might have been another room. Young lady came in and said that her mate told her the best way to manifest was through sex. I said, no, he just wanted some booty. But that was the first time that I actually had heard of manifesting, which was doing a not physically with another person, but using the orgasm experience because of the state of being that one is in at that time is a high energy place, and utilizing that to manifest things that you want. And it was called an internalized orgasm. That was the first time I was exposed to manifesting. What would you say to that, Diva?
All right, so basically we're talking about when are the high energy times for manifesting. All right, what we're dealing with is your subconscious. Your subconscious. And when we're talking about your vibratory frequency at certain times, let's understand, we've all seen the the different frequencies on your vessel. The one for your groin area, that chakra, that's the red chakra, and then it goes on up, and then you have the purple chakra over your head. Now you got to understand that the lowest vibratory frequency or lowest vibrating chakra is the one down there at your groin, in that red area. And I'm just drawing a blank. Clint Casey's in the house. On the groin area, that is the lowest vibratory chakra there is. The highest vibratory chakra is the one over your head. Now, when we're talking about different states, when you are awakening and going into sleep, that sleep that comes right before you go into a that REM, what they call REM. Before you go into your deep sleep, there's a state right there. That is a very high frequency or high energy state to be in for manifesting. And so this is why when we're talking about making sure that you are using these times at the best time to manifest, we're talking about making sure before you go to bed, you're thinking about what it is you're wanting. You're constantly, you're every night before you go to bed and every morning when you wake up. This is why we're talking about showing gratitude. You want to do that at night, and definitely when you're waking up in the morning, because that is a very high energy time for communicating with your subconscious when you're just coming out of that deep sleep or just before you're going into it. So what happens is, once again, as I've said, every cell in your body is its own planet. Every cell in your vessel is its own planet. And so what we want to do is get into communicating with it. Now, if you want to communicate with it, again, we're talking about those high frequency or high energy times. One of those, or two of those times being before you go off into a deep sleep, and then the other one when you're coming out of a deep sleep. Those are those times. When we're talking about sex, that is a time when you're communicating with your subconscious. You're communicating, and yeah, you can manifest, but is that the highest form of manifestation? No, it's not, and it's clear when you look at the chakra chart. Another time when you are in that state is when you're in the shower. You're in the shower, and the water is cleansing your aura or cleansing your vessel. That is a great time for you to do your manifesting. Singing in the shower and all of that. That's a great time. There are other ways to clean your aura, or when you're cleansing your aura, to manifest more rapidly. But definitely when you start to program your mind when you're going into that deep sleep and when you're coming out of it. So I hope, did I answer that question for you, Princess?
Yes, thank you very much. That was great. Before going to bed, reflect with gratitude, and also reflect on what you wish to manifest.
Yes.
And then on a way, you hold that same power thought. Sex is when you're in your subconscious, and that's why some people make reference to it as being one of the manifesting powers, but it is not the ultimate or highest power.
Not at all.
Shower or tub. I know about the tub because there's a young
Yeah.
lady I see on Facebook. She does this.
Yes.
And they've done it on Clubhouse too now, where you're taking a bath to cleanse and flush out and manifest what it is that you need.
Yes.
I remember dating a guy, and I after spending some time with him, when I took my shower that night after leaving his company, our first date, I was like, hey, universe, show me if this guy is a solid or not, and that was in the shower while washing with the water, making that request. So I could relate to that as well. And then the next day I did get a manifesto that no, that was not an ideal person. So the universe answered me. It was up to me whether I was going to listen or not.
All right.
So thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay. So Chris, did you have any other questions for me as we are in this session with Chris? We're basically talking about tapping into your manifesting powers. Now listen, we've got some things coming up with UNA, and I've been wanting to do some sessions dealing with even viewing life as a fourth dimensional being and a fifth dimensional being. So these are some sessions that have come down to me that I've wanted to share with everybody, but I just have had to get into that platform where I can share it. But yeah, the fourth dimensional beings, viewing as a fourth dimensional being, viewing as a fifth dimensional being. We're going to be getting into some comparing the ancient scriptures with the left out scriptures with the Bible, books of the Bible. So we're going to get into some deep stuff with respect to this esoteric knowledge and information. So I'm excited about that. And tonight we're just really just having a little powwow here on Clubhouse, and I wanted to bring in my Facebook friends because I love y'all. I love y'all, Facebook. Detox, what's going on? Donald, Amara, thank you all for joining us. Cordell, Sunshine. Jason's in the house. Clint Casey's here. Jason, thank you for joining us. Princess and Chris. So yeah, we're just going through this a little bit. If you all have any questions there in Facebook, please let us know. Chris and Princess, you all have any other questions? Clint, Jason, you all have any questions you want to ask while I'm here on this about the manifesting powers? Let me know.
Not a question, but I have a share.
Okay.
In striving to be mindful these days more so. Not to say I've not been mindful, just to say more recently. In striving to be mindful, I become aware. I'm like hearing myself fussing, where is this or where is that? Or even fussing with the cats when they do their jump out of the air and knock my computer stuff down, to remember, and I keep saying it to myself, the attitude of gratitude is so necessary to have, that attitude of gratitude, tuning in and tapping into my subconscious thoughts as well as my conscious thoughts. Welcome, Demon. Oh.
So
yeah. So just something else when you were speaking about that, about, reflecting with gratitude, being thankful to the universe for the many blessings or endowments that it has given us, and just looking to stay mindful of our good things so that when the so-called not so good things appear, we don't mess up the good thing that's coming or mess up our attitude of gratitude.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So the deal is that we want to stay grateful because I liken this to the universe is like a person. It's an entity. It has feelings. It has it responds to your energies. And so I remember when I would give this analogy to people about money, for example. It's like, if you want your money to come back to you, then you have to treat it like, especially when I'm talking to my sisters, like you would treat a man, and understand that it has energies like that. And so what I mean when I say that is that if you, for example, you wake up with your man and you're on the good side. You wake up on the good side of the bed and you're happy, and you wake up singing, and you're cooking him breakfast, and you're kissing him good morning, and what have you. Your energy is positive. You got his eggs and grits and everything's cooked well, and you send him off to work, and you kiss him as he goes out to work, and he's happy. He gets to work. His boss loves him. The co-workers love him. The clients and the customers love him. He comes back home. He's ready to come back home because he's coming back home and say, "Baby, I'm happy. I had a great day at work. Mwah, glad to be here." But on the other hand, if you have this man and you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you wake up fussing and aggravated and angry and not happy about anything. If you cook him breakfast, the toast is burnt, the eggs are dry, and whatever you've done, everything is just not good to him. You're having an argument. He's upset. You're upset. He goes out the door. He gets to work. His boss is aggravated with him. The customers don't like him. The employees and the co-workers don't like him. If he comes back home, and I said if, because I know too many men that just said, "I'm going to get some cigarettes," and never return. But if he comes back home, he's sitting in the car like, "Oh my God." He's going to sit in the car in the driveway before he goes up to the house. Let me think about if I want to go in this house. That's how your money is. Like, if your money is not feeling happy, then it's not going to return to you. And so we talk about that because when you're wanting to bring your currency back to you, you got to show it love when you're sending it out. If you want to bring your currency back to you, you've got to show it love when you're sending it out. So if you're paying a bill or if you're giving somebody money and you got an attitude, it doesn't matter who you're giving it to. If you show love when you send it out, then it's got to come back to you many times over. But if you showing it hell and you're not angry and you're not happy when you put it out, then it's going to return to you like that man who was unhappy when you sent him out into the world. All right, so the same thing works with the universe. When you're waking up, or if everything out of your mouth is complaint, and all of your thoughts are about the negative side of what's going on, and you cannot find it within yourself to understand that everything has duality, then you're going to find difficulty in manifesting what you're trying to get because you're blocking with your negative energies. Your negative energies are holding back all of your favor that's trying to come to you. All right. So y'all have any questions on that or any response on that? If y'all have any questions in Facebook, hello. Thank y'all for joining us, Rena. Let me see who else is in the house. Cassandra. All right. Hello, Cassandra. Sunshine, Donald, Detox. Thank y'all for joining us tomorrow. So yeah. So those are the things that you have to. UNA's in the house. Thank you, UNA. So yeah, those are the things that you want to remember when you're wanting to tap into your manifesting powers. Being gratitude, being grateful, finding a way to see on the other side of that dark cloud. Find the silver lining. When you get to that point, then you're going to find that things come to you much quicker. The positive is drawn to you. If all you're thinking in your head are the negatives, then that's what you're going to see in your third dimension. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are constantly, or as much as possible, focusing on the positive, finding that positive side and focusing on it such that we're not being focused on anything negative. Because when you're focused on it, that's what you're going to draw. All right, let me see if I have any questions. Do I have any questions? Princess, Clint, y'all want to add anything? Jason? Talking about manifesting tonight. What are you manifesting in your life? Y'all gonna talk? If y'all not gonna talk to me, I'm gonna go.
Somebody's got to have something to share.
That's okay. I mean,
is there anyone that has? had a moment of manifesting where they can share their story, how they tapped into their power, and how successful they were or weren't?
I'm in the middle of one right now, guys. I'm so sorry.
All right, so okay, so now here's the deal. We've got, all of us have had those instances where we will uh, do something, or have a thought. When we were younger, we had, I want to be this and I want to be that. And we keep saying it and we keep thinking it. And then eventually we look back and we're like, oh, I thought about this years ago. Well, imagine when you write it down. That's another thing when we're talking about manifesting. All right, it's one thing when you think that thought, you've already created an energy, and your every cell in your vessel is seeing what your thought is. Now, once you have had that thought, you have created an energy, you have created a contract. Your thought is a contract. So now, once you have had that thought, and then you speak it out of your mouth, when you speak it, you have given it even more power. All right? So we want to think it, and then speak it. And then when you write it down on paper, you have given it flesh. So those are the things that we want to do when we're dealing with manifesting. And remember that the same way it goes with something positive is the same way it goes with negative. This is why we talk about doing a meditation. You want to do a meditation because you want to have control of your thoughts. All right, the more control of your thoughts you have, the better you're able to manifest. So if all of your thoughts are constantly negative and you're all over the place, you're here, you're there, you never, all of your thoughts have to do with something negative, somebody aggravated you, you're going to get back at somebody. If those are all of your thoughts, then you are manifesting negative energy. You are manifesting negative energy. You want to learn to meditate so that you can focus on the positive. It's important to be able to do that because we have so many thoughts in one day. And the question is, are your negative thoughts outweighing your positive thoughts? If they are, then, as a matter of fact, you don't have to tell me. I'll see it in your everyday life. I'll see in your everyday life, based on what's going on in your life, what your thoughts are. I can see that. So, learning to meditate so that we can get our thoughts right, and then getting your words right that are coming out of your mouth. Now, once you have recognized what it is that you want to manifest, then you want to write it down. The pen is very mighty. And when you write something down, once again, you give it flesh. And the thing about it is, a lot of people, and I talk about this often, they'll go on to things like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, and they'll write these things out, and they're not recognizing that you're writing a contract. So as you're typing on that, you're writing a contract. And listen to me, listen. The spirits can see you. They see you. And as I've told you, listen, when people think they're getting away with something, they think they're going to take something and steal it, and they'll go off and they think, oh, nobody saw me. Did anybody see me? Did you see you? That's the only person that needs to see you. Because you need to understand the spirits see everything, everything. So if you're doing something, please recognize and know that you have to have integrity. Because everything you do is logged. Every energy you put out is logged. Look up this term, Akashic Records. Akoshic. Akashic Records. Look that term up. And when you look up Akashic Records, what you're going to understand is that there is, we can call it a library that holds all of the energies that you put out. All of the energies that your spiritual entity puts out. And so when you're recognizing this, you got to understand that whatever energy you put out must come back. And the universe is only just. She is just going to return what you put out. So if you're putting out negative energy, she's just got to return it. So this is why you want to maintain control over what your thoughts are. Think it, then speak it, and then write it. And be careful about what you're putting on these platforms, these social media platforms, because the spirits see you and they hear you. So when you're on there and you have people writing these negative things, black people ain't gonna never be this and this and that, and oh, this ain't gonna never. When you have those negative energies that you're putting out, you are prophesying. You're prophesying. Every time you write, you're creating a contract. And that contract is going to apply to you in your third dimensional world. So we want to be very careful about the things that we speak, and especially type, because these social medias, I can't tell you how many examples I've had of where I've written. And see, I have a tendency, I will speak to the spirits on Facebook. Like, I'll just type something and I'm specifically speaking to the spirits. But y'all want to jump in and be interrupting me. But you are the spirits. You're spirits. And so I will specifically write things where I'm talking to the spirits because I know they're watching. And then I will get a response from the universe. That I know the only way that I could have gotten this thing that happened in my third dimension is if the spirits were actually paying attention to what I've typed on this social media platform. So you want to be very careful about what you're putting up on on your sites, because you're writing contracts. And you are going to have to manifest those contracts in your third dimension. So make sure when you're writing something, make it positive. If you're putting up a whole bunch of negative posts about people, fear mongering, all of that, you're going to have to manifest that in your third dimension. So you want to watch that when you're putting that out. Princess, come on and let's reset this.
All right. Well, we do have a guest in the house. James, thank you for joining us. And everyone else, Jason, Chris, Clint, Diva, thank you for joining us here live in the UNA Law Club, here on Clubhouse and in Facebook land. We are speaking with Diva Laree from UNA University on tapping into your power to manifest. You can catch Diva live every Tuesday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and each Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not already a member of the UNA Law Club, be sure to click on that little greenhouse in the upper left there next to the UNA Law Club and join the club. This will keep you abreast of our scheduled events as they occur. We encourage you also to follow us. We do follow back. Everyone in the room, go ahead now. We should have had that 5 minutes pass, and click the plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. Ping as many of your friends as you can until your status goes red. And if you have a question or comment that you'd like to share with respect to the subject, please raise your hand. We'll bring you on stage and we'll call on you when Diva's ready to speak with you. So if you'll enter the stage and mute your mic, that would be great. Let us know when you're finished speaking by saying, I'm complete, or I'm done speaking, or that's my question. We remain respectful of each other. We also respect our speaker. We have healthy dialogue, which is welcome here. And we thank you again for your presence. If this is the first time you're hearing this information, or you hear something new, be sure to have your pen and paper handy. Take notes and pay attention. Thank you. Back to you, Diva.
Thank you. Yes, pay attention. All right, so now we're going on this. I had one of my sisters in Facebook. She made a comment. I want to read this. She says, it's Sandra. She says, after ending a 24-year abusive marriage, I did a 6-month spiritual and physical cleansing. I learned to focus on self at this point in my life. I manifested peace and love now. And then she goes on to say, I was returned a loving and peaceful relationship. Thank you, Sandra, for that, for your comment, for your testament. And I'll say, a lot of times, because that goes into the spiritual side. We're talking about, being in those kind of abusive relationships. And what happens when you finally decide, okay, that's it. I'm out of that. I'm done with this because I love myself enough to find peace. So I say congratulations to you on that, Cassandra. Let's see. Let's see who else we had. Detox says, I am at work, but I'm grateful to be here. Detox, I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're here. Hello, Divine. What a test, a Friday night date. What a treat, a Friday night date. We're your date for tonight. Excellent. Glad to be with you. Popcorn. We got popcorn and orange drink for you. All right. Now, do I have any questions in the Facebook? Princess, Chris, did you all want to add on anything? Because, I roll.
Well, I like what Cassandra spoke about. We talk about the domestic violence type relationships and the universal laws and how we attracted that energy to us. And just as we attracted the energy to us, we can release the energy as well. Do you want to speak on that?
Right. Thank you, Princess. Hello, Cheryl, Chandra, and let's see, Divine and Cassandra. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, let's speak on that. That comes down to the law of attraction, where if, again, I say, whatever's in your mind is showing up in your third dimension. So I always tell people to be very careful about what your words are for somebody in your life. Oh, he's a liar, he's a cheater, he's a thief, he's a this, he's a that. Because they are your reflection. You are on the same vibratory frequency with them. They are your reflection. And the only way they're in your life is because you drew them due to an energy that you put out. Now, once you decide to cleanse that energy, once you decide to change your energies, then they have to go away. Because your every cell, remember I said, when you put a thought in your mind, every cell in your vessel sees, hears it, and feels it. When you've made up in your mind, enough is enough, then every cell in your vessel is going to work to make sure that you put yourself in a better position. When you say, hey, I want to have peace, I want to have love, then your cell is going to see it and deliver. Your subconscious will deliver. So when we're talking about cleansing, or basically, let me first say this. We have to recognize that we're not victims. Now, once we do that, once we come out of the victim state, then we can really begin to change our lives. You can't change your lives from a victim standpoint. Oh, it's not my fault. He's the one that's doing all this to me. Listen, I've said this before, and we have all seen this. We've seen where you'll have a woman who's getting beat up by some man, and you'll have somebody who might go over, her brother, for example, might go over and beat up the guy. Well, what happens? The brother ends up in prison for beating up her boyfriend. But where does she go? She ends up going back to the husband. The husband, yeah, he's got his own issues, but she's the problem. She's the problem. Once she fixes her, there's nothing he can bring upon her. Nothing. I know some of y'all, you victim blaming. There are no victims, as according to universal laws. And that's the only thing I stand on. And I know we've seen enough where if you're wanting to change your life, when you come out of that victim mode and you recognize you are the one with the power, when you recognize that you are the one with the power, then there is nothing these people and anybody else can bring upon you that you don't allow. So once we come out of the victim state, because that's the most important thing, you can't operate in this dimension and manifest anything as a victim. Once you come out of that state and you're willing to say, okay, what energies did I put out to bring this entity that's reflecting me? What energies did I put out? Then we talk about cleansing. And I don't know if y'all want to go into that. Too late, I'm going into it. We talk about cleansing, right? When you're wanting to cleanse Your energies, first of all, again, recognizing that this is an energy coming to you, recognizing that you are not a victim, recognizing that this is not your first time in this dimension. You're an old spirit carrying all kind of karmic baggage, and whatever you're seeing in your dimension is a reflection of that karmic baggage that you're carrying. Once you're willing to take responsibility for the energies that are going on outside of you, and you're not a victim, as I say, this is one of the things, y'all hear this prayer all the time: forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Y'all hear that all the time. You see this with the Catholic Church, where they're going into this box and Father, forgive me for I have sinned. Because what it's talking about is absolving yourself of that energy or that karmic debt. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just go out and keep doing the same thing over and over again and not taking responsibility for it. It doesn't mean that. What it means is that if you're willing to recognize who you are, and you're willing to say, if I have made anybody feel this way, please forgive me. You should say that to the universe. If I have made anybody feel the way that this person is making me feel, I ask for forgiveness. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. That's one of the main things you want to do to cleanse that energy. Once you've done that and you've made up in your mind, you've put in your mind what you want to see, wherever your paradise is, because that's what I'm all about. Wherever your paradise is, put it in your mind. And every cell in your vessel must see it, hear it, and feel it, and respond to it, because that's what you said. And so once you do that, once you've made the up in your mind, this is when you start to tap into your manifesting powers. Just see it. And then you let the universe do the work for you. So let's see if I have any other questions. Y'all have any questions on that? Any responses to that? Hello, Facebook. Cheryl, thank you for joining us. Do you all have any questions in the Facebook land, or any comments? Please let me know. Put them in the comment section. Princess, you want to reset for us?
Sure. Chris, you had something you wanted to say?
Hey, yeah, I'm so sorry. I got to kind of overrun here tonight. My apologies, guys. Finally got some peace here, but I've been listening the whole time, so I got my headphones on and everything. Yeah, I definitely appreciate what you were saying about it was so much of what you were saying, but manifesting in the shower. Just going back to that, I wanted to just kind of comment on some of the things I was catching along the way, and like just putting yourself in that space where you're not overwhelmed by like the negative stuff going on, and continuing to try to be positive and like not overwhelm yourself. But I wanted to ask, like for the parents that are dealing with kids, right? Like, it's just such a common theme for myself and some of the parents I talk to. Like, I feel like we constantly manifest the negative results in our kids by expecting them to act crazy, or expecting, every day to be like Groundhog Day. Like, so one thing I'm really looking for help in an area is to take my power back in terms of like not expecting the bad, or like how would I shift that? Like, maybe should I lower my expectations for them at this stage, or should I try to meet them more at their level rather than like try to control the situation and then feel like nothing, like I'm doing bad. Like every time I try to control the situation, I feel like I'm just doing myself a disservice because they don't care what I have to say. And so I feel like I just continuously manifest a negative situation, and they understand that like I'll give up at a certain level. So like I just feel like I've been out of balance and out of control with that.
So now what I hear you saying is that you expect something negative to happen. Is that correct? Am I hearing you correctly when you say you expect something negative to happen?
Well, I wake up with the notion that it's going to be a great day, and I we do affirmations and I go over stuff with them and we exercise in the morning, but then things turn out pretty much the same. We're like, we'll face the same struggles. So then I get into that mind frame of like, here we go again. So then I like slip into negative expectation.
Okay, now, because I mean, what you're speaking on, if you can be, we're gonna have to go into some specifics so I can understand where you're going with that. But let me say this about love. All right. When I first got into understanding these universal laws, I kept hearing, before I got into it, I'd hear this term love. Love is the answer, love is the key, and love. And I was like, but whatever you people are saying is love is not even, it's not right. It was just something about this term that didn't mean that love. It's like, I don't even understand what love, I didn't understand what love meant. And so that's one of the issues. And why am I talking about love is because, love is the key. Love is the key. It is. But you've got to understand what love is. We don't have a true understanding of what love is. And so let's go ahead and define that. And then we can talk about expectations and where that comes from. When we're talking about love is, it means to appreciate and respect something for what it is. So when we're saying that, we're saying, all right, we're not trying to control it, manipulate it, or detour it, or none of that. So when there's something that you love, like let's say there's someone who in your life who you love, you're not trying to manipulate them or make them be something that they're not. You're going to respect it and love it for what it is, or you let it go. Now we're talking about, I'm just talking about any things in particular. And that's what love is, where you respect it and love it for what it is. And you just let it be what it is, and then you don't have any expectations. That's what love is. No expectations. I'm not saying that you should not have expectations. I'm just telling you what love is. So this is why we need to know what we're saying when we're talking about love. Now, I know you say, I love my children. I get it. But now you say there's expectations. And I'm saying to you that expectations are a good thing, but that's not love. So let's talk about it. Now, when you talk about your expectations, you're saying what you want them to do because you're wanting to control this. You're wanting to manipulate it. All right. So now in understanding that, they're giving you something opposite of what you're expecting. Remember, your children are a reflection of you. Now, I don't, what I'm dealing with when it comes to youth and all that, I'm really more so dealing with them and their actions and how they, to give them the information they need to empower themselves to change their lives. What I'm talking about now is more so, because I don't get into relationships and parenting and all that. I don't get into that. But what I will say to you is what your child is showing you is a reflection of you. If they are aggravating you or upsetting you, they're showing you a reflection. And I'm gonna let you give me an example. And then I'm gonna show you something that you have done to someone else, and your child is reflecting that. And when you change your child doesn't have any choice but to change himself or herself. So give me an example of what they do that where you have an expectation and they don't do it.
One right off the top of my head is like brushing your teeth at night, just getting the flow going. Like, all right, guys, time for bed, and like just an overall listening in general. Like I could extend that to anything throughout the day. Like just, hey, it's time to get this assignment done. I guess I'll say that. I'll use that instead. My son and his writing assignments every day for the past 3 months. He gets writing assignments and he doesn't want to do them. He just doesn't want to sit there with me and do it. And just refuses and fights and whines and cries about it. And it's like, come on. Like, I just want him to like get on my level, I guess. And like, okay. It's so easy if we just do it. Yeah.
So now tell me this. How does that make you feel when he doesn't get on board, or how does that make you feel? I want to know from you, your personal self, how does it make you feel that your son, that you're trying to get to, you said, do his writing assignments, and he whines, and you say the writing assignments, right?
Yes.
How does it make you feel when he does that?
Angry.
Okay.
I get angry.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I just don't understand why the fighting. And because I don't understand it, I resort to getting upset about it.
Okay. Now, good. Right there. The same way, and I need you to pay attention, I need you to think, and I need you to dig deep. Because sometimes we have to sit down and listen to our spiritual side, because they'll talk to us. Your son is giving you an energy, all right, that you have made somebody else, or you have put upon somebody else, and it's likely your wife. All right. So there's something that your wife has been trying to get you to do. And when she tries to get you to do it, she feels like she's got to fight. She feels like she's got to fuss. And then she gets angry. And she's like, why we can't be on the same page? We're getting these things done. If it's not her, it's somebody else. But your son is a reflection of you. Whatever energy he's bringing to you is the same energy that you're making somebody else in your life feel. And in this case, it sounds like your wife.
Yeah. And him, I guess, because with this whole being home this year, I have been getting into bad tendencies of being on Clubhouse or doing other things while I should be paying more attention to sitting down with him and doing it. And I guess because of that trend, he's now realized that he can kind of do the same thing. So, no, that's really true, and it is. And Diva, that's where the guilt starts to set in, because if I am feeling like I can't do better for myself, and I just start feeling guilty that they're doing exactly as badly as I am doing for myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so what you got to do,
continuous cycle.
Listen, this is one of the things I tell people, and this is how you cleanse the things going on in your third dimension. When you get the spiritual side cleaned up, everything in the physical side is going to clean up automatically. So what your son is showing you is that there's an imbalance there. And so you're frustrated because he's not doing what you need him to do for him, and somebody else is frustrated with you because you're not doing what you need to do for you. So once you start doing for yourself, you start cleaning that up, meaning whoever it is is making you feel, or let me rephrase that, whomever it is you're making feel the way your son makes you feel, clean that up with them, and your son is going to automatically sit down. Watch. It doesn't take that long. Just clean it up on your side, where you start doing what you need to do for you, and you're making it a clear point to get it done, and your son is automatically.
Hi, how are you guys?
Wonderful, Lorna. Give me one moment.
Hey.
So your son is going to automatically clean up what he's doing on this physical end.
That makes total sense.
Lorna, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing. Thank you so much for pinging me, Chris. I adore you, you know that, and I am so glad that we are talking about something completely different. So I'm really glad to meet you guys. Hi, Diva.
Hi, Lorna.
Princess.
Hi, Lorna.
Hey, Rashai. I'm driving from the gym right now, so I just want to chime in and say hello and introduce myself.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Lorna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So Sandra says, and James, if you have anything you want to add, let us know. So Sandra says, I see a lot of unhealthy manifestations in some of the young ladies I know. I try to tell them what to expect by unhealthy manifestations, but it seems like my words are on deaf ears. How can we get through to the younger generations? All right, so I want to respond to this because, Sandra, one of the things we have to remember is that everything is a reflection of us, just like Chris's son and anybody who's coming into our third dimension, they are reflecting us. So really, the thing is, Sandra, you got to remember these younger people, if they're reflecting you, you got to make sure you reflect to them what you want them to see. That's the first thing. So we got to make sure we clean. You know how they say clean up your house before you go trying to clean up other people's house. So when we change, the people around us have to change. They don't even have a choice. Either they're going to change who they are and how they are, or they're going to drop out of our frequency. We're not going to see them anymore. So that's how that game works. So the thing is, when you're talking about getting people to manifest something, they have to want to do it. And, we can't force them, like you can't force somebody to, for example, if somebody's on whatever drugs, or for example, you can't force them to clean themselves up. They've got to want to do it. They've got to get it into their minds that, hey, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to clean this up. Once, and Raja, Halo, thank you for joining us. But once they've gotten it into their minds that, hey, I'm going to clean myself up, then that's what they have to do. Nobody can stop them, but you can't force them. So when you recognize, okay, these women are reflecting me, what can I reflect to them to make sure they understand this is the better way to be? Now, here's the other thing. When we're talking about getting someone cleaned up, you can't just, like, people think they can go into a lower income neighborhood, for example, and just, we're going to give everybody all new stuff. And then that's going to take care of everything. And the deal is that that's not how it works. You can give them all new stuff, and then they'll tear it all up if their mindset is still wrong. If you haven't gone to them on a spiritual level and cleaned them up internally to where they appreciate something of another, I guess, a higher value, if you will, then they'll tear it up. And because they're not, their mindset. Listen, when you're going into these neighborhoods, I know it feels, okay, well, they've been disadvantaged and this and that. But what you're seeing is their mindset. When you choose that you deserve better in your mind, then every cell in your vessel is going to cause you to have that. If you feel I'm supposed to be in a mansion, nobody's going to be able to keep you out of a mansion. You're going to be in a mansion. When you know it, see, because the manifestation starts in your mind. And so when you're walking and you're seeing people in this kind of area and this, then you're looking at their mindset. You're looking at their inside, because everything outside of us is a reflection of what's going on the inside. So thank you for that, Sandra. That question, I say, when we change ourselves, then everybody around us must change. And if you're wanting to get to somebody and get them to change, you got to get to them on a spiritual level. Because until you get to them on that level, then you're just doing everything on the third dimension is for naught. It's just superficial. All right, you've got to get to them on the inside. Roger, Henry, James, Clint, Casey, Chris, Lorna, y'all have anything y'all want to add, Princess?
Want to do a recap really quick? Thanks, Rajai. Can I do the reset really quick, or you want to speak? Because I know you've been sitting here for a minute. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of your evenings to join us here live on Clubhouse in the UNA Law Club. We're speaking with Diva Laree on tapping into your power to manifest. Diva Laree is from UNA University, and we do appreciate everyone that's here. You can catch Diva live each Tuesday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and each Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Those are her scheduled live sessions. This one is a special session that we're having on Friday. Hey, Friday. If you're not already a member of the UNA Law Club, please click on the greenhouse in the upper left corner of your screen. Join the club. This will keep you abreast of our future scheduled events as they occur. Follow us as well. We do follow back. Everyone, if you will, also please click on that bottom right plus button and ping, ping, ping away until your status goes red, inviting as many as you can into the room to join us. For folks in the audience, James and Henry, you are most welcome to offer a comment or ask a question. Just raise your hand. We'll bring you up to the stage. Once on the stage, please mute your mic, and Diva will call on you when she's ready. When you finish speaking, let us know by saying, I'm complete, or I'm done speaking, or that's my question. We also remain respectful of each other and our speaker. We have healthy dialogue. Welcome all the time. And we want to thank you once more for joining us tonight, taking time out of your night. If anything fits with you, I encourage you to take notes and pay attention. Rajai, you're welcome to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I absolutely agree with Diva that the only way to change people is to change yourself. And most people are reactive. They react to their environment, the people around them. So most people are not conscious enough to really manifest their own reality. But if you get to that point to where you do that internally, then people will just respond to you. They will either come to your vibration or respond to your vibration, or if they're not willing to get there or don't want to get there, then yeah, they'll eventually just leave out of your life on their own accord. Yes. And yeah, that's just the way it works. But my view of like manifestation and kind of how you really get into your power, it's more of a feeling that you have than a thought that you have per se. You know, we tend to be way too much into our head, but not very connected to our heart. And if you connect the two and you let the heart kind of be the tip of the spear, so to speak, then it becomes 100 times more effective. Your heart puts out a field that's 5,000 times stronger than what your brain can put out.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Rajai. Is it Rajai?
Rajai.
Rajai. Okay, Rajai. All right, Rajai. So now, yes, absolutely. So what we're talking about the thought. That's the thing that we are aware of, in the heart. That's the subconscious. Now, one of the things when I got deep into molecular structure and understanding what's going on with the vessel, when the embryo is being developed, the first thing that gets developed is the heart. And in the heart, there's a brain. And Rajai is correct when he's talking about how powerful and how much energy your heart puts out. How there's a field that's being put out, and it's coming from your heart. And your brain is more of the one in your head is more of a secondary brain. So I consider the one in your head, that is your conscious, and your subconscious is in your heart. So when people start talking about, oh, I should have gone with my first mind, they're talking about your heart. But see, there's another brain, and it's in your gut. So we got brains all over the vessel. We won't get into that tonight. But what I will say is, it's a combination of both, Rajai, the head, the mind, and then the feelings that come from the heart, if you will. So what we're saying is, when you're awakening in the morning, again, your subconscious is very active. It's constantly active. But when we're talking about your conscience, because your conscience has to program your subconscious. All right, your subconscious sees everything, knows everything, has the ability to produce everything, especially everything in your vessel. So when we have illnesses and ailments, see, these doctors and a lot of people who are specialized in these different things, they can tell what the issues are in your life based on where your cancer is. For example, you have a cancer, they can tell what's going on in your life based on what part of your body the cancer is in. and that's dealing with your subconscious. Now again, your conscious mind is doing all of this negative thinking and negative thoughts, and it's going on, and then it is communicating with your subconscious. So you've got to get your mind right. This is the secondary, because the heart is the one with putting all the powers out. But we're talking about getting your mind right, because it is the one that keeps communicating the information to the heart. So when we're talking about a feeling, yeah, we're doing things on a third. See, now, again, there's yin and yang, masculine and feminine, going on throughout everything in our dimension. All right. So you've got your brain up here, that is really the masculine, and your heart here, which is really the feminine, the subconscious, the one with all the power. Your heart, that's where all the power is. But your masculine mind is constantly going on and seeing things, and these eyeballs are seeing what they think they see, and it's not even real. All right, so now what happens is you've got to get this brain up here to thinking the right thoughts, because if it's not, it's going to manifest these negative energies within your vessel, and this is when you start getting sick. This is when you start getting cancers. This is when you start getting other illnesses that you're bringing on, simply because you have no control over the thoughts in your mind. All right, so now, but Raja, I totally agree with you. The heart, when you do your studying and your research on how powerful the heart is, all of the energy is coming from here. They'll show that 3-4 feet in front of you, you're reaching people when they cut your aura field. People come into your aura field, and it's out 3-4 feet in front of you. Did I have anybody else who wanted to add anything to that? Thank you, Rajai, for that comment. Appreciate it.
Yes, I did. Actually, for Chris, I was remembering, as he was saying about expectation. A girlfriend of mine, I was going to Jamaica, and she said to me, "Go expecting nothing and enjoy everything." And I went with that attitude and enjoyed myself immensely. There was no expectation, so there was no disappointments or displeasure. No matter what happened, I was good, because I was not expecting anything. So going with that mindset, also owning the positive, today, make an affirmation. Today, my children will do this, my reception. Okay. Yeah. Today, my children will do this, or I'm seeing this for my children, positive affirmations, and move forward expecting nothing. Yeah. Another thing that I have received both from Diva and from another friend of mine who deals in past life is karma. Karma comes, spirit is eternal, karma stays with you. So if that body terminated before the spirit could cleanse or amend its karma from before, when it returns in this life, this new body, then it has to still clear up that past karma. So there's energies out there that we have to work within ourselves to cleanse or clear or amend or atone for. Right. There was something else. To Sassandra, your witness was yourself. You stayed in a relationship for a long period of time. You made a decision to come out of that relationship, and you made a decision to go into a place of love and peace for those period of months that you did. And by you making that decision, your situation changed. That's pretty much what Diva was explaining too, how it works. If we want change, a friend of mine, Herco G, God rest his soul, and actually his body, because his soul is eternal and the body is gone. But he said, if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. Meaning, if a certain audience is not the desirable audience that you wish to have, then change your audience completely. And you'll find other results. We all have to arrive at that period of self-realization before we will walk into self-actualization. And that's my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Princess. I wanted to say this real quick, because getting back to like Chris's example, I think he was saying that he did have those those affirmations that, oh, things are going to be great today, and then when things start not going great, it would those thoughts, those negative thoughts would creep in. But let me say this, with that being said, talking about expectations. When you have expectations, that is not love, which is what you were hitting on. Yeah, love is not having any expectations, just allowing it to be whatever it is and then letting it be. However, with respect to what his son is showing him, that is telling me that Chris has something else going on within himself that's causing the issue. And once he fixes that, his son is automatically going to change his ways, and it's not going to take that long. You'll see something like that change within a week or less, depending on how strong you are about implementing the change within yourself. So I just wanted to put that out there too, that energy shows that there's something else going on with respect to Chris himself. So did anybody else have anything they wanted to add to that?
I would love to. I'm just listening right now to kind of get the feel of it. I have actually been taking a break from Clubhouse to kind of reset from all of the things that I have been, the rooms that I have been listening to, and kind of just wanted to listen to something positive. I love your conversation. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to be the spectator tonight.
Oh, well, thank you, Lorna. If there's anything you want to add or share, we'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All right. So
thank you for being here, Lorna.
Chris.
Thank you, sweetie.
Yeah, Marjai, you guys are awesome. These are two great friends I've found on Clubhouse, and no, I appreciate what you're saying, Diva. Totally. Go ahead.
All right.
Likewise, brother. Thanks for pinning me in.
Well, Jason.
I had to charge my phone up. Sorry, y'all.
All right.
I actually walked to the store.
Did you have anything you wanted to
I'm
add
back,
to
though.
that?
Huh?
Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No.
Okay.
I had walked to the store, so that's why I was trying to save my little energy on the phone. But I kind of missed out on a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but I'm back, though.
Okay. Well, you can, like I said, you can catch this because we've got it on Facebook. Let's see. Okay, so now, I'm just trying to see anybody. I want to thank everybody in Facebook for joining us. I love y'all. McQueen, thank you for joining us. Rael, let's see. Anybody else has any questions in Facebook land, let me know, because we're going to get on it. Once again, we're just live. We're doing this session as per request. I just wanted to come out and talk to you guys about tapping into your power to manifest. Again, we go over things. Tonight we've been over just understanding expectations, how to stay, have an attitude of gratitude is what Princess said earlier, how to cleanse your energies, what at the times that are best for manifesting. All right. And we talked about that time just before you doze off into that deep sleep state. That's a great time. And then when you're awakening. So what we want to do is, if there's something that we're wanting to manifest, we're going to, before we go to bed, we're going to focus on it and let it take us off into our sleep. And then when we awaken, we want to once again focus on that. And always when we awaken, we want to make sure that we show gratitude. Do not wake up with your complaints. Don't wake up with your complaints and your aggravations and your frustrations. Don't show the universe that first thing in the morning. You want to be grateful for everything, anything that you can find. Find them. 5 things that you're grateful for and put it out there to the universe so that you can show your respect and love and receive respect and love back. I love the topic. Thanks so much. Bringing a lot to light. Thank you, Amara. Thank you for being here. All right, so now, does anybody else want to add anything to that?
I wanted to say that you're absolutely right. I think that whenever you do affirm all of this gratitude and all of these positive words and you speak them into existence, I think that they kind of manifest into your life. And when you're being negative, and I've been learning this because I have been around certain individuals in my life that have been very draining and very negative and always trying to just look at the most horrible part of the day. And, I've always been the type of person that kind of, okay, let's just tackle this. This is just a little obstacle, if that happens to be one of those days. But usually I try to be like very grateful, very sweet, and I like to treat people very well because that's the way that I want to be treated.
Right.
And then so there has been times in my life where I have met complete strangers and they have been so rude. And when you were saying those things right now, it kind of like dawned on me that I have always kind of overridden their negativity with my positive and try to walk away from people like that. And that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, Lorna. Thank you, Lorna. Now, I'm sorry, Princess, did you want to add anything?
Oh, I was clapping for
Okay.
Lorna because I'm in the same boat. If I hear some energy coming at me that I'm not wanting in my space, I don't accept it. I reject it to hold my peace and let whoever's having that hell deal with it.
Okay, yeah. Now, what I do want to talk on is, the fact that, again, everyone in our dimension is a reflection of us. Now, I have had so many experiences where I have had to reap my energies that I put out. And sometimes we don't even recognize that we're putting it out. We don't even recognize where it's coming from. So, for example, there have been times where I have, now that I'm more cognizant of what's going on, there have been times where somebody has come to me and I've kind of been short with them or just didn't take the time with them to pay attention to what they were saying. And then I would get that energy back. And it would take me some time to recognize because, at the time when it would be returned to me, I'm all in my ego. I'm like, wait a minute, you're not talking to me like that. And then I have to realize, oh, wait a minute. This is an energy that's returning to me from when I put it out. Y'all got to understand something. A lot of people think that energies are going to come back to you based on what somebody's doing to you right now. What I've seen, again, with these energies, this is my experience, and because I've been actually trying to track it, what the frequency is of these energies and how fast they come back and where they come back and how I see them. Normally what I see is 4 to 7 days is a return on the energies that I put out, and I see it all the time. So I know to check myself, especially when somebody does something that upsets me or aggravates me. I have to check myself because it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is an energy. Who have I made feel this way? And every time I sit down and I talk to the universe, and then the universe shows me, oh, that person, you did this to this person. So now, in saying that, I've had, situations where I've put out an energy and I was, I didn't recognize at the time. And now that when I do it, whenever I'm, in my little way and I might, whatever is going on with my day, and I might be short with someone, I have to catch myself because it's like, okay, you're going to get that back. And it always comes back. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to go into this one. Because a lot of people are going to, they're going to disagree with me because they think that this whole racism issue is what is being made to be in the media, and it's not. We get this whole racism thing, and people are not recognizing that these are just energies. When someone is giving you an energy, again, they are reflecting you. So the reason why I'm speaking to you about how many days or what the frequency or the time span is because when you put out an energy, it's not going to come back to you right away just like that. Just like when you plant a seed in the ground, a tree doesn't just pop up out the ground within the next 2 days. No, it takes time for it to come back. Now with these energies, when you put them out, 4 to 7 days is what I see at least. In that time frame, that's the first ripple, because everything is a frequency, meaning it's a ripple. 4 to 7 days is when you're going to see it. Now, when I see people coming to me and they're talking about racism this and racism that, I can go back and trace where they've been disrespectful or short with somebody else. And they're never going to tell you that. Listen up, and pay attention to what I'm saying, because the universe speaks in a language, and once you understand what her language is, she is showing you everything that's going on behind closed doors. Pay attention to this. All of us have heard this saying, what's done in the dark shall what? Come to the light.
Surface to the light.
Yes. What's done in the dark will come to the light. Let me finish this.
I wanted to add, Eva. Okay,
let me finish this. I'm gonna let you come in. But what's done in the dark will come to the light, and this is very important because what we have to understand is that when someone you're seeing someone get an energy on them, and they might look like a victim. Oh, that person is sweet and innocent and they didn't do anything. Well, that's not what the universe said. The universe is showing you that this is an energy that they have put out. And I don't care if it's racism. Whatever. Yes, I'm talking about the child. Yes, I'm talking about that woman. I'm telling you that there are no victims. And every time when you sit down and you understand what the universe is saying, you're finding that this is an energy being brought on that person because of an energy they put out somewhere else. And yes, that includes racism, because it's not what we're being told in this media. So these people will put out an energy, and then they'll do it to, and I've had so many times when I've had to call people on this. It's okay, you're telling me about how this cop did this, and you're claiming that they were racist, but then I can tell them, well, this is what you did to somebody else. And then they get quiet. Well, how do you know? I know because I know the law. I know universal laws. Yes, I'm an oracle. I can tell you this only because I've studied it, and I can see what most of us are choosing to ignore. So yes, I'm saying to you, there are no victims. And this whole thing about racism, this is in your mind. If you're getting those kind of energies, it's because you put them out. Yeah, go ahead, Lorna.
I just wanted to say, in regards to the racism part and everything that it's been going on around the world, I believe that these really negative frequencies are also, kind of like a suggestive psychological pattern in terms of like, social engineering. It's kind of like an engineered type of hate, so we can come against each other, because as a unity, we are stronger, and the powers that be, per se, know this. And so, that's all I wanted to say.
Yes.
Because, you were talking about that. So
absolutely, Lorna. And we were having this conversation earlier where, the thing is, there are entities, and some of y'all are feeling like, oh, we're just all a part of the human race. And okay, listen, I want y'all to go pull this thing down. It's called, y'all write it down, The Secret Covenant. Look it up, pull it down, read it. It's not that long, but once you read it, you will understand. If you can't recognize that what's in that document is already been put into play and damn near 80 to 90% complete, then I don't know what else to tell you. The Secret Covenant, this is where there's an entity here. And it's speaking about all of the things that it's going to do to keep the people fighting. They don't give a damn if you black or white or Chinese or other. They don't care. As long as we keep fighting, then we will continue to condemn ourselves. Secret Covenant, look it up. And that's going to show you that there's an entity here that full well knows who we are as spiritual beings. And they use our ignorance to keep us fighting against each other. So yes, Lorna,
That's correct.
you're absolutely right. So when you're
And you know what? I believe this negative entity is about to show itself in the flesh. And we're about to see a lot more of this nonsense hatred, this nonsense racism that just separates us. And what we need to do is come together as one race, as one species, so we can win the bigger fight that is right before us, I believe.
Right. So let me say this to you, Lorna. Here's the deal. When you get your spiritual energies right, none of this stuff, none of the negativity is going to come to you, because you're not on the same vibratory frequency as what they are. So let me give you an example when I'm talking about a vibratory frequency. Let me just give an example. When we're talking about a crackhead, for example, and the language that they know and the places that they go and the things that they do, I'm not going to be crossing paths with a crackhead because I don't do crack. That's not on my vibratory frequency. Not to say I'm higher or lower than they are in any way, but what I am saying is they do stuff on this vibratory frequency over here, and I do stuff over here. So there are things that we are not going to be crossing paths because we don't even vibrate on the same frequency. The same thing with people who deal in whatever frequency, where it's negative and they're fighting and they have all these negative words. You're not going to meet up with them, Lorna, unless you are allowing yourself to be caught up in their vibratory frequency.
Oh, I know. They're like energy vampires to me. I cannot stand being around people like that. And
Right.
It's this constant attack. And it's like, why don't you go look at yourself in the mirror and stop attacking me and really assess who you are as a person and why do you act the way that you do? You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right. So once we get ourselves in order, those who are on that frequency, they've got to disappear. Either they're going to change who they are or they're going to leave your frequency. They don't have a choice. It's all up to you to change that. So that's one of the things that, we're getting into as we speak on this. It's all about you changing you. As you change you, everybody else has to change. They don't have a choice. So I know we want to be on this thing where we save the world. We're going to save the world. You are the world. Save yourself. Because as soon as you save you, everybody around you has to come into order. And so that's where we are. This is why everybody talks about, clean up your own house first. Because once you clean up yours inside, everything else outside has got to change. Everything you're seeing is only reflecting you. So make sure that everything that's within you is to the good. Then everything outside of you has to be that. If you are living paradise, then your outside is going to reflect that. Your house is going to reflect that. Your car, your job, your friends, your neighbors. Everything that you're doing, your business is going to reflect that. So whatever it is that we're seeing outside of you that you have created, then we're seeing what's going on within you. This includes your children. This includes your wife, your husband, your friends, your family. They've got to change when you change. They don't have a choice.
Yes, exactly. And that is exactly, in the last year since the pandemic started, I was in a really bad place. And I was not loving myself. And then I one day decided that was it. I was done. I was going to get back with my God and start really loving myself. And because of that, I have gotten so many spiritual attacks. It's like crazy. It feels like my soul is draining. It's like all of these people just want to just destroy this beautiful harmony that has come over my spirit. And, I just can't. I'm prepared to be alone at this point, because if that's the way that it is, then that's the way that it is. You know?
Yes. I mean, so now remember that these people are your reflection. And then sometimes they're, again, if they're in your space and they're trying to and you feel that they're trying to destroy you, yes, it's up to you to love yourself enough to not allow them to destroy what you're achieving. All right, so that's up to you. But at the same time, remember that everybody, this is going back to the universal laws, we are all one. So now if these people are bringing that in your life, remember that somehow they're reflecting you. So you've got an internal battle going on. I know we think, see, all this stuff in the third dimension, y'all remember this, hear it, remember this. This is just a reflection. Everything you're seeing in the third dimension is just a reflection. It's not even real. I know that's hard to understand and take, but it's not even real. This is just a reflection. So if you're seeing something outside of you and there's a fighting outside of you, there's something inside of you fighting. And so, yeah, it's good for you to recognize it as what you're seeing outside of you and that it needs to go. It needs to be removed. And so good, remove it outside of you, and on the inside, internally, those spirits and demons have to go away as well. So just remember that, because it's easy for us when we see the things outside of us, it's easy for us to feel like we're victims and fall into that, that ego. And it's like, these people are terrible, they're no good, but they're your reflection. So if there's a fight going on outside of you, there's one within you as well. And you want to recognize that so that you don't fall into the victim state, because when you do that, you lose all of your power. You lose your power to manifest.
Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, and thank you, Lorna. Rajai.
Yeah, well, yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to add that, look, this life isn't supposed to be like a fairy tale with no problems, no issues, no nothing.
What?
Really, like, we are here, right? So we have a duality. There's a duality. Right, everything is relative, so to speak, right? So you have hot and cold, left and right, up and down, and all these are opportunities. So like when you have a challenge or a struggle, think of it as an opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to grow and to take. You're at a path, right? You're at a crossroad, and you have decisions that you need to make. And those decisions that you make are going to be what allows you to either, grow into who you're supposed to be, so to speak, or not, right? And it's about those opportunities, and all of it, like you mentioned, Diva, is a reflection. The universe is reflecting back to you, and it's up to us to say, this is the path I want to take. This is who I want to be. This is how I want to represent. But those challenges give you an opportunity to say, let me transcend this. Let me see if I can purify the situation, so to speak, right? To really kind of go through, not so much the pressure, but it's a window of opportunity to define who you are and to say, this is the road I want to take. This is what I want to represent. And, not all these things are bad. Sometimes the most challenging thing or the worst thing that could ever happen to you could be the best thing that's ever happened to you. But maybe it takes time for you to realize that. So it's all an opportunity. And we're all here to kind of go through that journey. And none of us are exempt. And it's about really just spiritually evolving our own soul. That's what this is about.
Thank you, Rajai. Yes. Hold up. Let me answer this, and then I got somebody else. I want to welcome Justin in the room. James, if you have anything you want to say, let us know. But let me say this real quick, because you said, Rajai, life is not supposed to be a fairy tale. And I'm like, wait a minute. My life is. But I'm saying it can be. We got our challenges, though. You're absolutely right, because as I say, in this third dimension, we're here because we have things to learn. if you're in this third dimension in the flesh and you're you're getting these experiences, it's because there are things that we have to learn. We're all here because we're returning here because of some type of karmic debt or some kind of thing that we've chosen. We've chosen to be here, because we get a lot of people who say, I didn't choose to be here. Well, yes, you did. Every last one of us made a contract to be here. And I know you're thinking, when did I make that? It's a spiritual contract. You made a contract. And when we recognize who we are as spirits and that we come back in here because we choose to, then again we can take more control of what's going on in our third dimension, and you can make your life a fairy tale. You can make it when you choose to know who you are and how to stand. But yeah, I love that. This is a challenge and a struggle. This is an opportunity to grow, depending on, if you're recognizing what the language and the energy that the universe is sending to you. If you recognize it, then yeah, it's an opportunity to grow. It's a challenge. So thank you, Rajai, for that. Princess, you said you have someone up that wants to come. And I want to say thank you to everybody in Facebook land. Thank you so much. UNA, thank you for everything you do. So is there anybody else who wants to speak on that?
No, I was just letting you know that Detox was in the room. But Cleopatra says her son was killed. How was that a reflection of him? If he never killed anyone, neither has she.
All right. So thank you, Cleopatra. So when we get into this, and this is a very a deep topic, and you've got to be willing to. So it's not for me to convince you of anything. It's for me to tell you what the laws are, and then you've got to want to know what they are. So when it comes to what we see as death, we've got to remember that as a spiritual entity, we never die. And as a spiritual entity, we are constantly carrying baggage. So let me start right here, Cleopatra, so we can understand some things. Because when you say, I've never killed anybody, he's never killed anybody, you got to remember that you and he and all of us, we are energies and spirits that have returned from another point. This is none of our first times here. We can recognize this when we have things like deja vu, when we have things like dreams, where, we have a dream and we see these things, and then 2 weeks later, we're in this place where we were in our dream, but we've never been to this place in this third dimension. See, there are things that show us and make it clear to us that we are spiritual entities. We're spiritual entities in these human vessels. But first, you're spirit. So in recognizing that and understanding that, the spirit does not die. You were here from the beginning and always will be. So is he. He's still here. He still sees and hears. But what you've got to recognize is that before he got here, he was carrying a karmic baggage. I'm not saying that baggage beforehand had anything to do with what happened with him, because it could have been something that happened that you don't know about. You don't know about. It could have been something that happened that you don't know about. And so before we allow our emotions, and I understand this, we see things that happen to people and we're like, oh, bad things happen to good people. But no, the universe is just, and she's going to return in energy. She's going to return in energy. And when we are emotional, overly emotional about it, we can't understand the lesson that we're getting. Like what Rajai was talking about. We can't understand the lesson because we're sad, we're hurt, we're upset, we're angry. But we don't see the message that the universe is trying to give us. So again, I can't say to you specifically what your son might have done, but what I can say is that the universe returns energies. Whether we like it or not, she has a language. And when she returns that energy, it has to do with whatever the spiritual entity put it out did. And so again, I'm not here to convince anybody. You got to do your own research, and you've got to just do your own research with yourself. When you sit down and start recognizing the energies that come back to you when somebody does something to you, sit down and think about, did I make anybody else feel that way? Have I made anybody else feel the way that this person made me feel? because we're so ready to take on, when we do something good and some money comes back to us, or we get something positive comes back. When we do something good, we're ready to take credit for that. Oh yeah, I got this back because I give all the time and I do this. But when something bad happens, we want to blame that on somebody else. Oh, that was God that did that, or that was the devil that did it. Somebody else did. No, we are the ones who are bringing the energies. And I know that's hard, especially because we haven't been introduced to these laws. We haven't been introduced to them, so we have been made to feel that we're victims. We have been made to feel that things are happenstance. Well, the law says nothing is happenstance. The law says there are no victims. The law says we are all one. And I tell you that I live it. I know this is real. And so when we start recognizing this, this is when we start to gain power over how we manifest. This is how we gain power over where we are and what's going on in our third dimension. When we learn to recognize what the energies are that the universe is sending, when we learn to recognize that and we learn to come out of our ego and our emotions and show gratitude and be thankful for what we have, then we start to gain power in our manifesting abilities. Anybody have anything else you want to add on that? And you can reset, Princess, if you want.
Hey, this is Chris. Yeah, I wanted to add on that. I love what you're saying, that it's very true. But I also want to add about death is that we're told and taught to be afraid of death and to fear it, but we don't understand it, right? And like that could be very well something that is one of the most amazing things, right? We don't know. It's a part of life, though, that's for sure. And so, like, we're taught to be afraid, like with what's going on now. Everyone is living their life differently because they're afraid of death. And, you know, everyone's afraid to be guilty of creating death for somebody else. And, you know, this is really thing that we don't understand. And it, just like love, right? Like you can't understand love unless you experience it. We only understand death from it being a bad thing because it happens to us it doesn't happen to us, but it happens, you know, objectively. And so we only see one part of it. So I just wanted to add that, you know, we can embrace like our death even, right? Like, and that's a part of our existence. And like, if we're not afraid of it and we're just trusting, then we can go a long way in like when people that we love die, or if we get sick with some kind of disease, or like just going about our everyday, like, and having gratitude for your, you know, mortality, and like reminding yourself of your mortality, and you know, just not being fearful. So that's one thing I just wanted to add. This Chris.
Thank you, Chris. I wanted to say real quick, because you know, in speaking with or watching or looking at Cleopatra's comment, you know, when I have people that, you know, that'll say things to me about, well, this happened and you know, they had to be a victim and they're in that state, then it's like, okay, let's go into in depth about what happened. When, you know, because when I'm looking at people where they're wanting to take on that victim state or see someone else as a victim, and then when we go in depth, then we start to really then that's when I can pull out, okay, this is what I'm seeing in that energy. Because whenever I sit down and talk to someone and they tell me about how somebody did them wrong and they did this and this and this, and as soon as we're talking throughout that conversation, it doesn't take about 10-15 minutes, they'll start telling me about what they did to someone else to bring that energy on themselves. So I mean, I have so many examples of that. But, you know, one of the things we have to remember is, or what I'm saying here, when I say there are no victims, it's not that, you know, we're saying that, hey, these people deserve it or what have you. We're only just talking about the fact that the universe is going to return in energy, and we have to recognize that, because if we're standing in a victimized state, we lose all of our power. So I don't know if she might want to, if Cleopatra might, if you want to go deeper, Cleopatra, we can go deeper. And then I can maybe show you some things to help you really understand, if you truly want to understand, because it's not my desire to be here because I know that's a sensitive subject and I don't want to upset you. But what I can tell you is that there's an energy there. I remember, let me say this real quick and then I'm going to let you reset, Princess. I remember there was a situation where this woman, it was this lawyer, and she was fighting for this guy who had lost his money from this other guy who was one of these conscious community people. And the guy had given this conscious community guy $60,000, and this lawyer comes on and she wants to fight for this guy who had lost $60,000 to this guy in the conscious community who had taken his money and didn't deliver on the property. He gave it to the guy for land and property, but the conscious community guy didn't deliver. Well, I knew immediately that this guy had stolen money from somebody else. I knew that. And I didn't even have to know what the whole situation is because I just know what energies are. And so here she was, fighting for this guy. And I'm thinking, and I had to write her a letter. I'm like, well, did you check this guy's past? Because the universe is saying this, and that, and that. Well, sure enough, probably about 2-3 days later, she comes back with a second thread about this guy. And she introduces the guy who had his money stolen. And so she's going on to introduce him. And then, shortly down, she starts talking about, he was in prison for such and such a time. And, what was he in prison for? Embezzlement. So you understand, before I even saw that second one, I already knew who he was and what he had done. The only way that this shyster, this conscious community guy could have stolen his money is if he had put out an energy to deserve his money being stolen. And I had told her, listen, if this guy had $60,000 stolen from him, he had to have stolen at least $5,000 to $10,000. And sure enough, what is he in prison for? Oh, embezzlement. I'm telling you that everything is an energy. I know some people want to say, well, no, sometimes that's not how the laws work. That's not how they work. They are or they are not. So when we're talking about, universal laws, they are what they are. There's no sometimes with them. Either you know them and you respect them, or you have cognitive dissonance. So did anybody else have anything you want to add to that? No, you're quiet.
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I'm sorry, guys, I got to run, but I appreciate you for doing this tonight.
All right, thank you for thank you for the opportunity, Chris, and bringing everybody in. So we hope to see you again sometime soon.
Totally. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care, brother.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Amara.
What I was going to say is, because I first want to give my deepest sympathies to Cleopatra. It is still, though in our human flesh, it's difficult. My nephew was murdered 2 years ago now, almost 2 years to the date. And I wrestled with the same things, knowing his life, knowing that he lost his father at an early age, and knowing his struggles since his father had passed, my brother. But as I dug more into my nephew, which was the battle with myself, the old me who wanted to go and seek vengeance or find the people who had harmed my nephew, and then wanting to know exactly what happened. And what I do know is he was out there in the world, out of our sight, meaning aunts, uncles, grandparents, and stirring a lot of chaos. And so it's like he put that energy out, and that energy returned to him. I had to recall a young man calling me where he had taken my nephew under his wings. He called me on Facebook, and he was telling me, this guy, do you know this guy? And I played kind of sheepish. Yeah, kind of. Who is he? What's the deal? And he started to tell me that he had stolen a bunch of his things from him, and he was trying to resolve the issue without, per se, a lawyer. involving police and a lawyer. And so I reached out to my nephew, and my nephew was like, oh, he did this, he did that, and this is why I did what I did. I'm like, oh my God, but then as I looked up, I was really looking up the article for the murder, but these other articles came up that showed me some things. Yes. That was the battle, Cleopatra. And I had lost my mind. I was driving around. Just talking about it puts me back in that emotion. I was driving around feeling like he was by himself. They mutilated him in his murder. So there was nothing to see, no one to see. They had blown his face off. And I remember driving to the hospital to go and just be with his body, the emotions of it all. But going forward I Googled his name to find the article about the murder. And these other articles came up from when he was younger and the things that he'd done. I'm just like, oh my gosh, he was kind of like out there in ways that we didn't know about. Gang. He was cruel to animals. He'd shown a lot of cruelty, young women that he had been involved with. He had abuse cases against him for them. So he was a brute, but we loved him. That's our kinfolk, our family. And that was the battle. So choosing what to say, because I was chosen to speak at the funeral, was like, what do I say? I could say how terrible this is. I could feed to that vengeance spirit and that someone had wronged my nephew, but I had to speak the truth. We wronged him first. No one made him accountable when he was younger for the things that he did. And they let him run wild. And running wild could have, just like in my garden, if I don't tend to my garden, the bugs, the snails, they're going to eat my stuff up. I have to be out there. I have to get these bugs out of my garden. I've got to put the reflective stuff down that keeps the bugs from wanting to chew on my leaves. We didn't do that. And I encourage everyone sitting in the chapel where this empty vessel was to become aware of how we're interacting with our children and to teach them love. The principle of love is not always rewarding when there is no need for reward. It is stern. It is guiding. It is a leader where little ones need to follow by example. And it was received well by some, but the kids, my nieces and nephews who are closer in age to my nephew, they had no understanding. And I said, hey, he was a monster to others. And so this monstrous event happened to him. And I still to this day in 2021, when I think about him and I get blue about the fact that he's gone and how he left us, I still have that duality of emotion, but I always yield to the higher thought, the highest good. And once again, Sister Cleopatra, I extend my deepest sympathies as I know it's difficult. Respect. I'm done.
Thank you, Princess. Thank you for that. And again, I appreciate you adding it because, a lot of times, and for me, it's hard for me to speak because I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to seem insensitive to anyone. And I know we get into our emotions and we want to take vengeance and we thinking, oh, this is my child or this is my family member. But we're not being cognizant of the energies that they were putting out. We want to see them as, oh, they were a lamb. I can't tell you how many mothers that I know that have sons, especially, and their sons do heinous things. Not that I'm saying your child did, but I know because they'll tell me the things that their child does. And then when something comes upon their child, they want to act as though, no, my baby is an angel. It's like, no, you just told me the things that they do. How are you telling me this is an angel when you're telling me about the things that they do? And then you want to claim the cops and this one, they're picking on that one's picking on that one. No, your child is, as what you just said, a monster. I'm not saying talking about your child, Cleopatra, but there's too many mothers that I've heard, and they try to shelter and then put up excuses about why their sons do the things that they do, and they're not being honest. They're not being honest about what's going on. And then when something happens, they want to blame it on everybody else. Well, guess what? The law says there are no victims. So when I see something happening, I know that there's an energy behind it. And every time I go back behind the scenes and I look at the energy of the person who's drawing this, I know that there's something that they have not dealt with spiritually. If there's a battle going on outside of them, then inside of them there is a battle. And they got to deal with that. And then the police go away. These people over here who bullying them go away. These people over here who are constantly fighting them, they got to go away. It all starts within. So I understand. When somebody comes to me and they're saying, that I had a loved one that died, I get it. I understand. We're upset. We're emotional. But are we being honest about the energies that that somebody was putting out? In most cases, they're not. I know it because I see it all the time, especially with mothers. Anybody else?
And now that you said that, Diva, if I may, I recall a girlfriend of mine. We've had a lot of our youth killed out there on the streets, but a girlfriend of mine's son was murdered, and they did the same thing, defaced. Defacing seems to be the modern trend, but he was robbing someone else and beating that guy. That guy got away from him and the robbery attempt, ran and got a weapon, ran back and shot at his robbers, the people who were attacking him. Now, we know he's got karmic 2 going on, but the son wasn't murdered because he was just driving down the street. He was trying to rob this guy, and it just flipped, the script flipped, and instead of the guy being the one injured, my friend's son was killed. And she was angry at the guy who killed her son, not taking into accord what her son had done to bring that whole situation about. To this day, if I say, hey, sis, hey, he was out there robbing that boy, she can't embrace that.
Yeah.
She just says he had no right.
Yeah, emotions, ego. So I want to get on this because Cleopatra asked me a question, and I love it when people ask me this because y'all taking notes, get your pen and papers ready because I'm ready to go into some history. So we're going to break this down so that everybody can understand what's really going on and why, this whole racism thing is some BS. So we're going to break it down right here so we can understand how the spirits really work. Cleopatra's asked, is in the slavery of melanated people of North America, was that an experience of karma for the collective group from generations past? All right, y'all get ready to take notes because we're going to go deep in this. We're going to dive because this is one of my favorite subjects right here. Because what I want to understand, make sure people understand, is the true history of the Americas and what really happened. See, when we don't study and we believe these lies that have been taught to us in these public schools, then we don't have a clue about what's really going on. So let's take it back and understand what really happened. First of all, we got to understand that the original people of this land are your copper-colored people. When we talk about America, we're talking about Ameri, which is a Hebrew term, Ika meaning land of the indigenous people. America means land of the copper-colored people. Now, for those of y'all, see, I'm going to break it down to make sure everybody can go study. Everybody needs to study this so that you don't believe what Diva's saying. Don't believe me. Go read it for yourself. Land of the copper-colored people. Go and look up, just do a Google for American, 1828 dictionary. American, 1828 dictionary. And what you're going to find when you run a Google search on that is going to tell you what the term American really means. It had to do with the copper-colored people. That's the term. The term was originally applied to copper-colored people of the land, and then other people Albions came over here and started taking on the name American when it truly means for copper-colored people. Why is that important, Diva? Well, because what we need to understand is that this land belongs to the copper-colored people. Right? Y'all people running around calling yourself black and African American. This is your land. Why is that important? Because the original slaves in this land were Albion. Albion. When you look at the term slave, that means Slavic and Slovakian. We're talking about a light-skinned people. Slavic and Slovakian, those were the original slaves. Why is that important? Because how did they get into the land in the first place? Everybody be so worried about and focused on where, they brought us over here in slave ships, or did they bring us over here in slave ships? But then nobody stopped to think, how so many of them get over here? We know this ain't their land. We know that for certain. How did so many Albions get over here? Well, one of the things we need to pay attention to is that the whole Barbary Treaty and that whole slave trade, those were Albions coming over here. Albions. Why is this important? Because we're going on this thing about a karmic debt. You got to understand. You got to see the true karmic debt. The original slaves were Albions, and the way they got over here was people who called themselves Moors of Morocco, Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli. They were kidnapping them from places like Ireland, Sicily, Italy. See, I can go deep into this, but I want to get into this question, make sure I answer this question so we understand, is the karmic debt that is that karmic debt that melanated people are experiencing? You betcha your karmic debt that it is. Yes. Because when we're talking about how the Albion got over here in the first place, they got over here because they were kidnapped and mistreated and enslaved by melanated folks from Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli, Montezuma. All right? Morocco. They were kidnapping these children and bringing them into the land as slaves. And I'm not talking about no daggone indentured servants. They were full-fledged slaves. Who did that? See, y'all be like, well, our ancestor did it, and I ain't had nothing to do with it. You are your ancestor. You are your ancestor. So when we're talking about how the fact that all of us are spiritual entities that recycle back into this dimension, none of us die. When we're talking about that, we're telling you, well, you should be clear. You are your ancestors. So don't keep trying to blame it on them. If you don't like what you're getting, clear up the karmic baggage. We talk about that all the time, how to clear the karmic baggage. So if you're asking me, is this melanated people experiencing some karmic debt? Absolutely. Because now you got to understand, when your ancestors or you put this out in a different time, then what you got to recognize is you put out an energy on these people when you brought them over here, disenfranchised them, enslaved them, kept them from having knowledge, kept them from knowing how to read. We did that to them first. And now whenever you put out that energy, by law, it's got to come back to you. We are all just spiritual entities returning in this thing. And when we put out that energy, it's got to come back. And that's what you're seeing. So now, after we've done this thing to these Albions and brought them over here and enslaved them and done all these dirty deeds to them, when did it start to switch? In the mid-1800s. That's why y'all got to go and do your homework, because this stuff started back in the early 1500s, where Britain came over here and they was running that Virginia Company. Check it out. Virginia Company. That's the same place that we know as the state of Virginia today. It's the same company. It's a company. It ain't even a state. It's not even a territory. It's a company. So you've got these people coming in here and with the Virginia Company, and they're running this, and then you've got all these slaves being brought into the Americas by these different nations. They're called Barbary states. Why? Because they were barbaric. Barbary states. Y'all look up the Barbary treaties and find out what was going on. They were seizing ships that were coming in here. Why were they seizing ships? Because they were wanting treaty. They were wanting some payment to be able to sail through the seas. And so the United States had to come up with some treaties to say, hey, look, can y'all stop stealing our ships? Because when they would steal those ships, they take everything on those ships and sell them. Well, you got to ask yourself, what the ham sandwich was on them ships? Slaves. And we were not talking about no melanated people. Those were Albion slaves. So they called them Barbary treaties because all of these states, they were participating in piracy where they would steal people's ships. And they were called barbaric. So we're going to make some Barbary treaties to keep these people from stealing our ships so that at least we can keep a piece of the pie of what we bringing over here. All right? So we got these melanated, and y'all need to understand this country, North America, was being run by melanated people all the way up to the mid-1800s. All this stuff about, we 400 years a slave. Mid-1800s, that was what, 200 years ago, 250? These Albions ain't been running this thing that long. So what y'all got to understand is that was an energy that was put out by melanated, your carbonated people and your melanated. They two different people. We're not going into that tonight, but you got two different entities that are putting out this energy on these Albions. So now all of a sudden in the mid-1800s things switch. And melanated people go from calling themselves white to calling themselves black. And Albions go from calling themselves black to calling themselves white. Y'all ain't getting this? You can go look it up. I'm not making it up because the terms black and white have nothing to do with skin color. Look it up. And so now you have today these Albions who are putting their foot on the neck of the melanated people, and nigga this, and nigga that, and nigga, and what is this? That's not happenstance. There's an energy there. There's an energy there. So all of this stuff y'all talking about reparations, these lies that they're telling you about slavery, it didn't happen the way they're telling you. And even, you'll read this Alvin Haley guy, he straight up plagiarized that story. That was fiction. And we have turned it into something truthful. Y'all think that Roots is a Bible? That thing that came out of fiction. They wasn't even talking about no slavery like that before he wrote that fiction book that he stole from an Albion. Y'all not getting this game. Yes, there's a karmic debt to be paid, and we're paying that. So when y'all start talking about some reparations, y'all not even understanding what you asking for. This land belongs to you. And you asking somebody to give you a piece of what already belongs to you because you don't know who you are. You don't understand you are your ancestors. You don't even understand that you did some dirt to people. But because we are in a victimized state, we want to be victims. We don't want to recognize who we were in a past life. I get it. There's no way I could have done that. Well, keep believing that. Because once you come up out of your victim state, then you can live in the paradise. Yes, you're supposed to live in paradise. Come up out of your victim state, you can live in your paradise. You can have your fantasy, but not as long as you feel like you don't have to pay or this energy is happenstance and that this energy makes you a victim. You believe that, then you are a victim. And you will continue to live the hell that you're living because you don't want to accept your karmic debt and cleanse it from your system. I'm going to let that go. I think I said that enough. Princess, you can reset if you want. Princess.
Thank you. Yeah, my phone, sometimes it goes out or it's a low signal. So you guys can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Diva, for that.
Yes,
that was heavy. I was sitting here reading the Secret Covenant as you were speaking and just like, wow, the contrast, because just like we put it out there, and it comes back to us so the same on this. And that's why we have to clean ourselves karmically so that we don't go into the next 400, 500, 2,500 year cycle, 25,000 year cycle with this same energy happening over and over again. You enslaved me, so I enslaved you. I enslaved you, so that kind of energy. I hope that we will release it. And I'm trying to find a way to share the Secret Covenant with you guys there at Facebook Land. This is deep. It's so deep, man. But okay, so yeah, Reset, you are here live in the UNA Law Club with Diva Laree. We're speaking on tapping into your power to manifest. Also, history, thanks to Cleopatra, Sister Cleopatra, for asking that question that brought that truth out to us, something that we do all need to embrace and be able to move forward with. Everyone that's in the room has been in the room so far, and it is the UNA Law Club. If you have not already, be sure to click on that greenhouse in the upper left-hand corner and become a member. Thereby, you will know when we have future events. Diva Laree is live every Tuesday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We hope that you'll join us either here on Facebook or Clubhouse. If you do have something you want to say, do raise your hand. We'll bring you up to the stage. Make sure to mute your mic once you're on stage, and the diva will call on you when she's ready. We appreciate your feedback, your dialogue, and Diva, we especially appreciate you. For future sessions that Diva Laree teaches, I want you guys to go to unauniversity.com/learn. That is business trust law, going into basics of business trust law and how it applies to you and your business. The other link that we have is for the UNA Youth Law Academy, and that can be reached at unauniversity.com/youth. Again, that's unauniversity.com/learn for business trust, and unauniversity.com/youth for the Youth Law Academy. Both coming soon with Diva Laree from UNA University. Again, thank you for joining us. Back to you, Diva.
Thank you, Princess. All right, so now, listen, I know that I gave a lot of information to some of those of you who might not be aware of the history of what went on in this country, but those are the problem is when we're wanting to get some kind of remedy in life about, oh, this is happening in my life and how am I drawing these people? The problem comes about because we do not know the history. And everything that we're dealing with in this dimension has to do with a history or a past energy. And so because we just look at this thing as though, oh, that just happened and it's just happenstance, we don't recognize the energies because we don't know the language of the universe. When everything is the universe saying to us, hey, this is an energy. It's not happenstance. And when we come out of our, when we come out of our emotions, we can recognize it. So I say to you, yes, if you're seeing an energy, that is not someone who is a victim. If you have someone who's constantly talking about, well, somebody's picking on them and oh, they're a victim and there's a good kid. And then, no, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. And I'm going to say that I'm not trying to upset anybody, but I'm being very clear about this. Very clear, very clear. They are not. And that is the universe giving you an energy. And they're telling you, again, what's done in the dark must come to the light. And if you're seeing that in somebody's light, then that is the universe telling you what they have done in the dark. Period and point blank. There are no two ways about that. The law is what it is. This is not Diva Laree making this up. This is me just telling you what the game is so that you can get it right and you can clear your own life up. So if you're wanting to have cognitive dissonance about somebody who's getting these energies coming to them, you better understand and recognize you're going to get bit by it. You're going to get bit by it. Don't ignore the universe when she's speaking to you. What did Maya Angelou say? When somebody tells you who they are, you better believe them. Well, when the universe shows you an energy, you better recognize she's not lying to you. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me out of your mouth, but I'm going to believe the universe every time. She don't lie. And because I know her language, I'm going to believe what she says every time. Now, anybody else Thank you, Amara. Thank you all for joining us. Marianne, yeah, got to be responsible for your wrongs. Thank you, Amara. And so, listen, I have to be, I have to be strong on this for the simple fact that, a lot of us, again, our emotions cloud our judgment. And I see this way too much with mothers. I see it way too much with mothers and sons. Let me say this to you because I had something that really disturbed me. It disturbed me to the core, and then I'm gonna take some questions or whatever from the audience. But it disturbed me to the core. I had this mother, a friend, and she always be telling about her son, and her son, he's a good kid, and I've had so many mothers say that to me about their sons. But her son, he kept getting this thing where he was being accused of molesting people. So the first time that it happens, I think it was a cousin or somebody accused him of groping her. It was just, okay. And so it was a family thing that happened. And then somebody else accused her son of doing something sexual to them. Next thing you know, she's telling me he's in jail for some type of sexual molestation or something. He went to jail for, again, this is energy. Constantly energy is a constant energy. So she's telling me about him, and then he gets out of jail and he's living with her. Then she says to me, yeah, my son's at home and I'm trying to help him. And she's telling me about this other issue that's going on with him, with the landlord, and she's trying to fight for him. So then I just brought him to the house. Then she tells me that he's babysitting for her granddaughter. I almost lost it. He's babysitting this. Listen to me. And I get it. Yeah, people can change who they are. But when they keep telling you who the hell they are and you ignore it, the problem is you. This is a mother that's trying to protect her son. I get it. But here's the deal. Like what you said, Princess, you brought a monster into this goddamn dimension. So the least you could do is protect the rest of society from this monster that you have brought in. You know who he is. If that's your grandbaby, the last thing I would do is allow somebody who I know, they've had 2, 3, 4 incidences of some kind of sexual molestation. We already know the game. I'm saying at some point, we have to come out of our cognitive dissonance and stop thinking that, it's the society picking on my son. No, the hell it ain't. Recognize who this entity is in front of you. And these energies that are coming, they're not happenstance. You're being irresponsible if you're not recognizing who this being is. And then when something happens and the society comes down on them and, my son's in prison, he didn't deserve to go to prison. What the hell? And you coming to me wanting me to help you get your child out of prison? No! There's a problem there. When we deal with that problem, then prison will disappear. Your son won't be in there. But there's another issue there. Again, there's spiritual entities and energies that we're not recognizing. And until we do that, you can forget about cleaning up anything or manifesting anything, because you're going to continue to manifest the dirt because you're putting it out. I'm going to let somebody else in the room speak. Anybody?
Yeah, I was going to say about the flip side of it. When I first heard this, that we are responsible for every action that has come upon us. Then it took me back on the rewind to being molested. And I struggled with that. What do you mean? I wanted somebody to molest me at 3 years young, at 5 years young, at whatever age it was that it happened those many times. I couldn't wrap my mind around, I created that. But understanding then that the spirit is eternal and the body is temporal. So therefore, something in my spirit in a past life invited this energy to my 3 years young self and throughout my childhood. It's some energy that I left dangling from the past that I have to then clear. First, before I can clear it, I have to kind of come to an understanding of it. What did I do that I need to repent of and move forward? Then I thought of the several young women that I met in the poetry scene who shared their personal things with me. And one of them was a common thread of some type of sexual abuse growing up or misuse growing up as a young girl. Some of them turning to women because of their experiences with men and not understanding. Some of them because of the pregnancy, which is still an experience with men, scared the living daylights out of them. They were too young, so they felt, to bear children, or so the adults felt. And it scared them, the whole situation. So they brought this on themselves. I wrestled with it. And I'm still coming into the acceptance of it, because there's still the anger, there's still the hurt, if I allow it to be. Thank you, Diva.
All
That's my
right.
piece.
Thank you, Princess. How do you talk about how you do your cleansing? Because I know that there's, the emotion. Once we're able to take that, really the big thing that we do is to recognize it. Once you recognize it, then you can cleanse it. So talk about what you do to cleanse as you go through your dealing with this whole situation.
The divine law of oneness, the law of energy and vibration, the law of action, correspondence, cause and effect.
What specifically do you do?
Do I? Oh, I listen to conscious music, what I call conscious music. Muji Sangha is one of my favorite go-tos for releasing. Sometimes Sadhguru, and other times just 460 megahertz, I think it's 342 megahertz vibrations. And I go into a place of meditation where I play back the events, what happened or why am I feeling this way? I explore that emotion to show me what happened. And then I ask for forgiveness for those to whom I may have offended. And I ask myself for forgiveness. And then I forgive myself and I forgive those, because we were at whatever understanding at the time of the event that it was. But if I have hurt, harm, or offend, I forgive myself for hurt, harming, and offending myself while I'm yet hurt, harming, and offending another.
Thank you. Thank you, Prince.
That's on those. But then when I'm having a tantrum, which happens too, I'll have a tantrum about the cat baby pooped on my floor. I just mopped this floor. You guys don't clean. And that's exactly what I'll say, and that's, to me, a loss of control, a loss of that control, understanding it's all in the flow. I have these in here. This is what's going to happen. Take it par for the course and not allow my energy to go in one way or the other. Remain neutral.
Excellent.
That's the challenge.
Thank you. Thank you, Princess. Yeah, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. That's one of the things that you're hearing, regardless of what religious order you're dealing with. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Because one of the things we have to understand in this dimension is that everything that's coming on you is energy that you put out. So if you're receiving a lot of favor, you're receiving a lot of love, you're receiving a lot of kindness, it's because you've put it out. Now, I'll get people, no, I give all the time and I still get this. Well, then there's, again, if you're having this outside of you, everything outside of you is only reflecting what's within. And so I want to go into this situation because we got into this child rape thing, and I need to address this on several ends, because one of the things we have to remember is when we put an energy out, it comes back, and we can see this all the time when we choose to recognize it. And I know it's hard to see, but this is a child. This child didn't put, you got to remember that a child is nothing but an old spirit coming back in a new vessel. Your child is your ancestor. Your child is your ancestor coming back into this dimension. Now, with that being said, I talked about how when you clean up your energy, everything of you must come into order. So let me give an example, because I have had too many sisters that have come to me and they'll say, okay, I was molested, and they'll tell me about their mother that was molested. They'll tell me about their child that was molested. And if we go back, we could probably find that the mother's mother was molested. And the reason why that is important, because again, I talked about energies. Energies, all right, they are going to, listen, it's a contract. When you have a thought or an energy or a karmic debt that's coming in here, that karmic debt is a contract, energy that has been put out at another time. So when we're talking about, this lineage of molestation and how to get rid of it, that comes with knowing how to cleanse your own karmic baggage. Because just like I have a friend that comes to me and her daughter's been molested and her mother was molested, when she cleans up her own energy, she is going to clean up her entire lineage. What does this mean? Y'all pay attention. Pay attention, because I'm ready to go deep. When we're talking about the Child Protective Services, for example. Child Protective Services was created for the purpose of good. That's what their intention was, to do good. We're here because this child is being mistreated in this home, and we want to take him out of the home. But as soon as the Child Protective Services comes in and they take that child that's being molested out of that home and they put him in a foster home, what happens? They get molested there. And they take him out of this foster home and put him over here in this foster home, and what happens? They get molested there. And why is that? Because there is a karmic debt, and there's no place you can move that child to protect it, because there is a contract to be paid. That child or that spiritual entity in that vessel has to deal with the contract or the karmic debt that has to be paid. And I don't care where you put it. Doesn't matter where you put that child. If it has that karmic debt to be paid, it's going to be paid. What is the karmic debt? Where is it coming from? Well, that child did it to somebody else in another life. I know. Oh, I went deep. Y'all not understanding this game, but once we get it, then you can clear up all kind of baggage. Once you come out of your victim state, you can clear up all kind of baggage. Why are you getting this? There was something done at another time that needs to be cleared up. There's a karmic baggage. Clear it up. Because when you clear up that karmic baggage, you are going to protect your entire lineage. So I'm talking about a friend who's saying, oh, my daughter was molested. I was molested. My mother was molested. Well, you know what? There's a granddaughter coming in on this game on this side. Do you want to protect her? Do you think you're going to protect her by saying, I'm going to make sure I watch her. I'm going to put her under my arm. I'm going to make sure that nobody can get to her. There's nothing you can do to keep the universe from returning that energy. If you want to clean up your entire lineage, all the mother's got to do is clean herself up. And everything else is affected. Everything. So this is why this is very important that we get our own karmic baggage in order, because again, everything is reflecting us. You want to clean up your grandbaby's lineage. You want to clean up your grandbaby's contract. Clean up your contract. Watch this now. because I talk about this that's not talked about very often in medicine, in the medical. They're not going to tell you this because this gives you too much power. Listen up and pay attention. One of the articles that I was reading is about how your blood and everything that is of you changes with your vibratory frequency. So let's say, for example, you got diabetes and you go, let's say, to the doctor and you get blood drawn from your body in a vial, and you were in that diabetic state. And you go off in your diabetic state and you start eating properly, you drink properly, and your blood starts to correct itself with respect to the diabetes. Well, listen up, because that blood in that vial that wasn't in your body any longer, it also has to clear up automatically. The blood, y'all didn't hear what I said. Let me say it again. Listen to me. That blood that was not in your vessel, when you went to clean yourself up, it's now clean. It's clean. Because you cleaned you up. Anything of you has to respond to you. So the vessel, the blood that's in this vial is clean now because you cleaned yourself up. It's the same way as the blood within your child and the blood that's in your grandchild. When you clean up you, when the mother cleans herself up, or the father, whomever it is, but I'm talking about the mother in this place. When the mother cleans herself up, the daughter got to get clean, the grandbaby got to get clean, the mama got to get clean, the grandmama got to get clean. Everybody that is of her feels her vibration. Clean you up and watch your entire lineage be protected. I got a question. Anybody have any questions? I think Karma is raising, Kana is raising her hands.
Now, actually, that's the happy hat. Welcome, Kana. I believe it's Kana, and she's new to Clubhouse. So you get that little happy hat in the corner.
Okay.
But Kana, you are welcome to come to the stage if you had something you'd like to say.
So with that being said, what I'm saying is that we got to recognize that everything starts within everything. And if you're wanting to clean up your lineage, if you're wanting to clean up anybody else in your lineage that is of you, of your blood, all you got to do is change you. And they have to change automatically. All right? Anybody want to add anything? Clint, Rajai, Jason, Karma, James, anybody?
The truth.
Go ahead, Clint.
Thank you, Clint. Rajai, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I like that example that you provided because, yes, everything is connected, right?
Yeah.
And they've shown that when you take a cell, you split it up, and you could have it across the universe, or let's just say across the globe, and you do something to it, there is an immediate reaction to the other cell that came from it. So it's called spooky action at a distance, essentially. Everything is quantumly connected, including ourselves. We are a technology, and yes, it's in the blood, and that's why there's such a strong emphasis on the blood in just about every religion that you look at, right? I mean, you could look at Christianity. It talks about, being cleansed through the blood of Christ as an example, right? But this is a quantum technology, and it all is really tied in together. And there's no separation in any way, shape, or form, and we're all connected. And there's a vibrational template that you carry forward until you reset it, right? And when you reset the imprint, that's when you can really start to kind of create your own new imprint, right? You create a new vibrational field that you could now be the captain of. And I think that's what it's really about, that self-mastery knowing thyself, about going within and really working on yourself.
Right. Thank you, Rajai. Thank you. So, and I appreciate that. Yes, because a lot of people, when we start studying these things, that the true science, I don't know about this other science they talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. But when you start studying true science and you're going deep into what's really going on, and you're getting these journals, these things that are hidden that they won't allow us to see about what the medical field is seeing. Just like what Rajai said, you can take this cell, split it up, take it to one side of the planet, and then take the other one to the other side of the planet, and they're going to feel it when you do something to them. One's going to feel it in the other one. So again, when you change within, you can take some blood outside of you, put it in a vial. That blood in the vial is going to change. The same way the blood within your child or your mother or your grandmother, your ancestors feel you. Everything of you feels you and senses your energy. So you want to be very careful about what you, because Rajah, going back to what you said about the heart and your feelings. Yeah, your feelings have everything to do with it, because the more you feel, the stronger you feel it. The more powerful your manifesting ability is. So again, a lot of us feel anger very heavily. If we can feel happiness that well, then oh my goodness, imagine what kind of dimension you're going to be living in then. So it's all about your emotions, your feelings. If your feelings are good or great and you're happy and you're euphoric, your manifesting power is that much stronger. The same way the opposite reaction, anger and frustration and fear, well, those are going to draw a very strong manifestation. And especially at this time, y'all better pay attention. At this time, things are manifesting much more rapidly. So if you are not in control of your thoughts, somebody else is going to control them for you. This means you're going to start manifesting things that you really don't want. Fear, anger, anxiety, you're going to manifest some things that you really don't want. So it's important to have your let me name these things that I talk about all the time that we need to make sure we do. Y'all write them down and incorporate them into your life when we're talking about manifesting. All right, you want to make sure, again, we talked about those times that are best for you to affect your manifestation and your subconscious. When you're dealing with your subconscious and you're communicating with your subconscious at the highest rate, when you're going to sleep, just before you go into that REM state or that deep sleep state, and when you're coming out of the deep sleep state in the mornings. So you want to go to bed with the thoughts on your mind of the things that you're wanting to manifest, whether it be that house, whether it be that business, whether it be that new location, whatever it is. Go to bed with that thought on your mind and wake up with that thought on your mind. So that's one of the things. The other thing, now the 5 things I talk about, we want to say to gratitude. Find something, 5 things that you're grateful for when you wake up. All right. You want to have your confirmation. And when we're talking about that, your affirmations rather, where you're saying, I am. And making sure that everything you put behind I am is positive. If you find yourself saying I am, and some of y'all insult yourself so bad, it's ridiculous. I mean, some of you all need to be very careful about the words that are coming out of your mouth and your thoughts. I've had people tell me, I don't even like to say it because it's just terrible to be saying. Watch what you put behind the words I am. Watch it. It should always be positive. I am happy. I am positive. I am love. I am paradise. I am peace. Say it. And that's what you're going to train your subconscious to believe. And that's what she's going to manifest for you. All right. So your affirmations, your gratitude, you want to have meditation where you're learning to focus your mind, whether it be on nothing. Learn to focus your mind on nothing and clear it, because this is that time where you have to learn to control your thoughts. Your thoughts are so very powerful. Your thoughts is what's manifesting everything in your third dimension. You've got to control it. So your meditations, that's the third one. The fourth thing is to your journaling, where you're writing down what's going on, what maybe the day before or what you're looking to do during the day. But you want to write down your journaling. You can either do a journaling or do a video blog, whatever you want to do, but do a journal. And then the fifth one is your exercise. You got to exercise the demon out of that vessel. Exercise the demons out of that vessel. Take 10 minutes to go walking. Take 10 minutes to do some leg lifts or some lunges. Do something for your vessel. Exercise the demons. Those are the things that we do in order to enhance our ability to manifest, because we do that by controlling the mind. And it's the heart, the heart, which is the subconscious, that's the one that's really putting out all the energy. But you got to train it by getting your conscious mind, which is the masculine, to speak to the feminine. When she believes it, then everything in your vessel is going to manifest what you want. All right. Did anybody else have anything they want to add?
I just want to say I agree. That's some good information. I love it.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Princess.
Good work. Good words, Diva. Good words.
Thank you. That was
Yes.
the spirit speaking. I was just letting the spirit say what they need to say. I was like, spirits, come on, take over. All right, so, but yeah, I thank everybody for being here. Facebook, I love y'all. And I thank you all for your support, everybody in Facebook. Perry, thank you for joining us. Amara, let's see, Amara says, question, do you offer a program to assist us on the right track of helping heal the lineage? Amara, here's the deal. This is a deep subject, and I know what I know, but I have not put this into practice to help people. That's the spiritual side is I speak on it, but I have not put this into practice. Perhaps someday I might make courses within the universe. I mean, I have to. That's what the spirits are asking me to do, because I have to speak on it more. So I have not done that, but on some of my private consultations, I'll get into it a little bit. If somebody wants that kind of private consultation, let me know. We could definitely get into it. Savvy Atlanta's in the house. I want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for the question, Amara. But that's something that eventually I'm going to have to put into play. But I have not done that at this time. Existing in a plasma universe. All right, that's Todd. Hello, Todd. Thank you for joining us. Todd is on the other end of the planet now. He's in Europe somewhere. Let's see. I'm just saying if anybody has any questions. But I want to thank everybody. UNA, thank you for what you do. Thank everybody for joining us. Kauai, Clint Casey, thank you. Monica, who else is in the house? Venus was in the house. Kana, and James, thank you all for joining us. So, Princess, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we get out of here? This was an awesome night. Thank you, Diva. Chandra, thank you. Was you the one? Were you the one on a date with us? Did you enjoy the popcorn and the orange drink? I notice I said orange, not orange, but orange. Princess, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No. I was awesome. I love that we gathered tonight. I enjoyed deeply the subjects that we covered. If everybody else in the room, I click on the mics, can agree. I think we had a pretty good gathering tonight.
Princess, I want to thank you. Princess, I want to thank you because you shared with us, and you were candid and intimate with respect to your experience, and I really do appreciate it. And I know that you have you helped somebody with that. A lot of us struggle with that, and in my research, I find that more than 50% of us, men and women, are walking around with some kind of inappropriate sexual contact that happened to us before the age of 16. Most of us, almost half of the society. And so I say to you, thank you for being candid and strong enough to share your experience so that we can, again, help to uplift some people who don't know how to come out of the funk.
That's right. That's right. And prayerfully, all was well received. It's I call them bitter truths, and I appreciate you, Diva, for bringing it out tonight. Chris, who's absent, for calling the gathering. And we thank you for yielding your time. Everyone in the room, thank you for yielding your time, your mind, your energy, and your wisdom this night. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so if I don't have any questions, I'm going to get out of here, people in Facebook land. Divine, thank you for joining us. She's a part of our Back to Basics program, Back to Basics Law program. If you all want to be a part of Back to Basics, you all go to DivaLarie.com, DivaLarie.com, DivaLarie.com. You can go to DivaLarie.com if you want to get into that Back to Basics program. If you want to get into our upcoming seminars, you go to UNAUniversity.com/learn, LEARN. And don't forget, we got a program coming up for our youth. It's starting this Sunday. If you want to be a part of that, you all go to UNAUniversity.com/youth, YOUTH, and for the Back to Basics or Trust Law Basics for Businesses, you'll go to UNAUniversity.com/learn, LEARN. I want to thank you all so much. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you got something from this session. We've got a lot more to come because we're all growing, and again, the spirits are encouraging us all to put this information out. And I thank you all for taking time to listen. All right, thank you for taking time to listen. All right, we're all going to that paradise. I love y'all. Y'all come fly with me. We're going to paradise. I'm out. Diva, bye-bye.